Hi, Danny here from daretodreamstudios.com. Today we're going to show you how to use the day to night action in the Enchanted Mist collection. First of all, you want to start with a photo that has some darkness to it. I've done my best to make it compatible with really bright images, and you will definitely have to do some adjustments. But I suggest for best results to kind of darken the image a bit before you start. So what I did here was I just ran a little levels just so that it would deepen the colors a little bit and stuff. So now I'm going to go up to my, sorry, I was just editing it. So I'm going to use the day to night HDR. That's my favorite. And we're going to run that. It'll take a few minutes for that to run. Just give it some time. It is a pretty long action, but well worth the wait. There was a lot of tweaking and retouching and redoing, so, and you know, some things are just better left the way they are. I had thought about going back and fixing it, but I thought, that's not such a great idea. So, I'm not exactly sure what just happened. Why did it? Oh, it's just really dark. Okay. It was my levels. So, anyhow, I have my levels here that I originally started out with. That has nothing to do with the action. But this will allow me to adjust and get it darker. But you don't have to do that. I mean, you can use the settings that I already have. Like there's the dark blue, which is actually more of a gray. You can adjust that to make it darker. The thing with this action is it actually works in conjunction with another action. Because obviously, this isn't a real showcase image. As dark as it is, you'd want to highlight it. So what we do now is we run Paint the Night Highlights. Okay, so this little action comes up and it tells you all the things you can do, which is basically that you want to paint on this layer and you can change the color. So for instance, this is in the yellow. This should be a good color. You can use any kind of shade of white. And you want to make sure that you're always clicked on this layer. You're going to use a white brush. And you're going to decide where your lights are. Now, when it's daylight and there's a lot of, we're going to adjust this down here. I'm going to adjust this down to soften the brush just a bit. When it's daylight, usually you have lights that shine. You know, like sunlight will shine, and then you know where your light really needs to go because you're emulating the moon instead of the sun. Now here, we have a light here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to highlight that light. And then, I'm going to get my brush just a little bit bigger. We know that when there are lights, they shine down. And it'll shine down probably onto the street and probably way out here as well. So we're going to do this. And then you just paint. Paint your light on. Wherever you think that light would be. Now that's pretty good actually. I could go back with my black and cover this up here. Because perhaps it wouldn't be so much on top of the light. Yeah, that looks about right. Now, what I usually do is I usually go filter and then I blur, a little gloss and blur, just until I'm comfortable with it, with its blend range, because you want it to be natural, like it's real soft. Now see how I lost all that harsh light? And now look at this beautiful picture is now a work of art. It was so dark. And so let's say we think maybe there's a light over here too. So what I'm going to do, I mean, you could run the action again, or you could just duplicate the layer and actually what I'm going to do is just paint over it. Let me click on this. I could have ran the action again. It probably would have been easier. Usually I do a couple of those moon highlights. So now I'm going to go back to my white brush and make this a little smaller. I'm going to pretend that on this side there is another light. So we'll start about here and end about there. Because maybe there's a light over there in the distance that we're just not seeing. Okay, so we got that. So now let's go filter, blur, gloss and blur. It's going to remember our settings from last time. And then we're going to click OK. Now this image is out a little far, so I'm just going to move it over a little bit. I'm going to move this little shadow area over just a little bit. So there's some ideas of what you can do. You can also emulate the moon on, you know, like maybe the moon was shining up here or over here. You know, it's all a preference on what you want to do. You know, I mean, you can highlight anything. You could highlight the, let me duplicate this layer again. And, oops. This thing doesn't like me. Okay, I gotta use black to cover it up. There we go. Okay, so let's say maybe we want to emulate that the lights are on in the houses. Now we could always use a different color. Change our color up a little bit. Maybe they have more of a softer light. Okay, so we'll do that and click on this layer and I'll make my lights. Now we'll just kind of highlight here like somebody's at home and somebody has their lights on. The whole house is lit up like a Christmas tree. Speaking of which, this would be really great on a Christmas tree. If it was real dark, you could bring out the lights. Okay, so we're just gonna do that. Looks kind of, what are we thinking here? But we can do another gloss and blur and tone it down a little bit. It's a little bright. Okay, so maybe we don't like that color too much. Maybe we want to change the color just a little bit. I'm not liking any of these actually, which is kind of weird because usually I like it on the windows, but I think because there's a lot of reflection from the sun, which is now the moon. That color might work. Let's bring up the opacity of this a little bit. Yeah, we could do that. Just highlight the windows a little bit. So you get the idea. You can paint, just figure out where your light sources are and then paint over them, do a little bit of gloss and blur, and you're good as gold. You can turn a fabulous daytime picture into a completely dark work of art. I think it's the most amazing technique ever, and I'm so happy to be able to share this action with you guys. So, happy painting, guys. I can't wait to see what you guys do. If you'd like, you can always share on my Facebook page, Dare Dream Studios. Yes. Thanks for watching.